Despite initial scepticism and a long battle to be recognised, Doctors Paul Wood, Tony Radford, Jim Rothel and Stephen Jones have fundamentally changed the way tuberculosis is diagnosed around the world by inventing and commercialising revolutionary interferon gamma technology that is greatly assisting in global tuberculosis control in both humans and cattle.
I first met Paul when he was working with CSIRO, obviously, and he was interested in brucella diagnosis and tuberculosis diagnosis and this particular technique. We set up a section within CSL that was specifically aligned with diagnostics.
A patent was lodged in 1985 for a simple lab-based method to measure a cellular immune response to TB infection. This was an alternative to the 100-year-old Mantoux skin test for humans, which suffered logistical and performance problems.
The technology that CSIRO was developing, based on more modern immunology, was one test, one blood sample, an objective laboratory test with more sensitivity and specificity than the old test.
The patent basically is two steps. The first step is an incubation phase. We used whole blood because we had to be able to use hundreds of samples. And then the second step is the measurement of a hormone, in this case gamma interferon, which we had to have a very sensitive assay system for.
The bovine test was validated globally in many thousands of cattle, leading to recognition by the European Union and the World Organization for Animal Health. It consequently played a role in successfully eradicating bovine TB in Australia. But the technology also had great promise in human diagnosis.
We were very fortunate early on to get CSL on board. Hugh Middleton helped us with that. We had people like Stephen Jones at CSL who developed the early prototype kits and then refined them into the final kits that are in the market today.
So at CSL we developed the bovine test, and the immunology of tuberculosis in humans is not that different, so we adapted the technology to work in humans.
It was exciting technology, but during the early development, CSL withdrew its interest in the field.
I think the resistance in moving to QuantiFERON was simply that they were familiar with the skin test.
Fearing the technology could be lost for Australia, Doctors Radford and Rothel founded the Celeste company to acquire the rights for QFT so they could seek FDA registration of the promising human diagnostic product.
QuantiFERON Gold is highly specific. At 99% specificity, it means that you are truly infected if you are positive.
By offering enhanced specificity, sensitivity and simpler testing procedures, QFT Gold can greatly reduce the number of people who are prescribed the sometimes toxic medication used for treating latent TB infection, as well as providing savings to the medical system through reduced testing and treatment costs.
Tuberculosis is a terrible disease, and this significantly changes the way it's treated globally. That is an extraordinary outcome.
Belief in the test and its potential to make a significant positive impact in the global war against TB inspired the Celestis team in what was to become a decades-long effort to solidify QFT's future use worldwide.
At the time, the technology had been proven scientifically for use in humans, but was still in the regulatory approval stage. A number of large global multinationals had looked at the opportunity to invest in the technology and had declined.
Commercial resistance remained, and Celestis faced the challenge of gaining market acceptance of their disruptive technology, which proposed a fundamental change to the way TB was being diagnosed. To gain support, Celestis significantly enhanced the test's accuracy and also made it easier to use, conducting numerous clinical studies and working with regulatory and government bodies to develop guidelines for the use of the tests.
My role really was to go out and clinically prove the test by testing many thousands of people around the world.
The process was long and demanding, but resulted in acknowledgement of QFT as the new gold standard in human TB detection and of Bovigam for cattle to the benefit of humanity across the world.
A cool thing about QuantiFERON is that it's actually opened a door to investigating tuberculosis much more than they could in the past.
Sales doubled yearly from 2001, and after the QIAGEN company acquired Celestis, sales have continued to grow in all markets.
It has provided significant scientific job opportunities for Australians. It has provided a substantial financial return to shareholders, to staff, and to the Australian taxpayer.
From the invention, development and initial commercialisation of Bovigam through to its development into the advanced human tests, the ultimate success of interferon gamma testing for tuberculosis diagnosis is a result of the dogged international regulatory, marketing and development efforts undertaken by Drs Radford, Rothel, Wood and Jones.
There are many very good scientists. Not all of them can communicate as well as this team did.
They believed in QuantiFERON Gold and they knew it would assist world health. And that's what drove them on more than anything else.
Their hard work and dedication has made a notable contribution to tuberculosis control, changing the way the world looks at TB and how tuberculosis infection is diagnosed.
With all the medical acceptance that we've got around the world, all the publications, all the regulatory approvals, it would now be fair to say that the gold standard for latent TB diagnosis is now QuantiFERON.
From the early patent today, we're now 27 years out. We challenged each other, we bounced ideas off each other, and we're still mates today.